2022 all-time disappointment team based on positions. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like our all NBA team of disappointment, really, is what we're going for.
All right, easy, great. All right, so I'm glad I didn't go 20 years back in time. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Grant Hill, was he disappointing because he got injured? Are we doing this or not? No.
All right, so at the first guard position, all right, I have what was supposedly the savior of New York, who was a huge disappointment this season. No, it wasn't Russell Westbrook. We already knew he was going to be disappointed before he was even started. So that's like exactly the expectation. So
Right.
clearly, I've gone with Kemba Walker. All right, he only got 37 games on his creaky knees. He still put up 11 and 3, which is like a shell of his career stats. Okay. And New York was coming off a huge run last season, obviously, going into the playoffs. And then this year, for many reasons, they've gone backwards. And then they brought in Walker. And the thing is, he's only 31. You'd think he's turning, 35 or 40, but he's only 31. So I think he's sort of pretty much done, I think. But ultimately, a huge disappointment this season, what he was, able to ultimately do due to health, I guess. That's probably his reasons. In the second guard spot, I have a rookie. Now, I was like, do I want to be too hard on rookies? And you know what? Doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter also that he's an Orlando rookie. All right, and I love Orlando, but our draft picks have been shaky. This rookie reminds me of Elfrid Payton, not Penny Hardaway. That's the problem. Okay, and I read this article like yesterday. Apparently, Suggs, okay, ranks last in field goal percentage and 124th in field goal percentage on layups and dunks out of players that have at least taken 200 attempts. This kid, for some reason, all right, just can't put that ball in the bucket right now. Okay. And I guess the problem here that I have as an Orlando fan is that, and maybe because I'm Australian as well, is that Giddey was taking the pick after. And I'm not sure why the hell we took Suggs right now. So Suggs is my second guard on the all disappointment team right now, as far as I'm concerned. Look, good news for him is his first season, he can only get better, right? or get out of the league, I guess. That's one or the other, right? So he'll either somehow forge a career like Elfrid Payton, or maybe it's the next Michael Carter Williams. So who knows? All right, so moving to the
well, do you want me to do my guards?
You want to do your guards? Okay, cool. What are your guards? Yeah. Cool.
Well, first, like the Kemba Walker thing is really disappointing. And like it's a different type of injury / health thing. I think it's not necessarily like, oh, he did his ACL and now he's clearly not the same. It's just like he's got degenerative knees or something, and it's just like the career's just nosediving. It's done. Jalen Suggs is a really good one. The only thing, the one concern we have here is, one, is there something mental going on? Because I think he anticipated being picked fourth and then he wasn't. Like he was always the projected over Scotty Barnes. He was supposed to get Scotty Barnes, and then Toronto went left of center. So did they sense something mentally or something like skill wise? Maybe. But he had a busted thumb, and that might explain some poor finishing stuff. Might be a bit apprehensive on that. Look, making excuses, but yeah, when you burn a fifth pick on something, and there's like who was Franz Wagner? Was it the 8th or the 13th pick for them? Like he's their better pick.
Oh, absolutely. That's a no-brainer right now. He's the best rookie on that team at the moment.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to start really boring then. I did pick Russell Westbrook. I just think, look, here's the main issue with it.
That means you expected more. Is that what you're saying?
Look, I think now that the season has come to fruition for them not even making the play-in game, whether it be by design or whatever it may be, is a disappointment. Considering that he has played 78 of the games and he has notoriously been able to at least get teams to 500, that's a disappointment. And you can make all the cases in the world to say that him and LeBron can't coexist, et cetera, et cetera. But, his shooting is abysmal. He has the worst three-point shooting in the league. His finishing at the ring has decreased as time's progressed. And his PER that used to be relatively above average and was a key component of my argument for him earlier in the year for our very blind episode 0 podcast. He is now right smack bang at league average. So when he comes on the floor, he is no more helpful than a 15th man. And I think it's just not the drop off that you expect, like to this significance. I think he should have had more impact. And he's had a couple of good games, but it's just not consistent. Let's not labor it. You weren't expecting it to be a disappointment, so it is what it is. Now my more left field of one, I went with Terrence Mann of the Los Angeles Clippers. Now the rationale behind it was he had a couple of breakout games in the playoffs last season. So, first began his career averaging 2.4 points. Last year, he had 7 points a game and then kind of blew up in the playoffs. He's jumped to 10 points or 10.8 points a game. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, maybe the minutes is an issue. He had 18.9 minutes last year and has basically gotten close to 30 minutes this year. So the time is not the issue. He's getting a lot of court time, and he hasn't increased that scoring load. Now, why do I have an expectation that he should have taken a big leap? Well, Kawhi's out for the season, and Paul George was out for the majority of the season. There were shots there. There were shots to go around. Perhaps not part of the scheme. Perhaps Reggie Jackson just doesn't like passing. I'm not too sure. But he had that explosion where he had 37 or 38 against the Utah Jazz and essentially eliminated them on his own in that game. If it was in the bubble, because we had a couple of those performances in the bubble and then those people just disappeared again when fans reappeared, that was a pretty indicator of like, oh, he could be six-man potential, right? He could come off the bench, get 15, 16 points. He clearly is a bit of a hot spark. And it just hasn't played out like that for him this season. And I think that that's disappointing because all the opportunities were there, right? He had all season to prove it with more playing time. And I don't really know how, like, his career can't really progress much beyond now just a bench rotation guy.
Is Terrence Mann a 2 or 3?
According to this, small forward / shooting guard. So
okay, yeah, he's 2-3. Yeah, okay, I thought so. I think, look, firstly, Russell Westbrook doesn't deserve more than like 20 seconds here. I think I was actually thinking about that. I just need to spend some time cutting up our very choppy first podcast and actually get that one online at some point. So as a full collection of all our podcasts. But like I said at the start, to me, he's not a disappointment because we got exactly what we thought we would get from him. Okay, I think I remember Terrence Mann. It's a good pick actually. That he did blow up last year in the playoffs. I think Terrence Mann, to me, and I did read an article about that when he blew up, about his backstory or whatever, his history and stuff like that, and it was pretty cool. There's been so many players, though, if you think about it, that have had those hot moments. Okay, it's like a Jeremy Lin. It's that sort of situation where, there've been many players there. Remember Aaron Brooks had this season where he was hot. He was averaging like 20 points. He's like, can this guy play? And then that was it. And I could probably go back and pick you another 20 names fairly easily that of players that have sort of fallen that sort of category. So I think Terrence Mann he's probably had his hot moment. He's probably had his 15 minutes, you know what I mean? And I think the Clippers at the 2 and the 3, they're deep. They're deep. That's the thing, okay? So not only PG there, and I know he's been injured. They brought in Powell, obviously, and they brought in Powell to give him minutes later in the season. They got Kennard. Kennard's been obviously playing pretty well all season as well. I think he's really in a situation where at the 2 and 3, he's pretty deep on the Clippers, and the Clippers are sort of looking at a fringe sort of contending team to extent, especially if say Kawhi comes back healthy, and who knows, they could probably push up into that top 4 maybe conversation. Okay. And I think that's just the reality with Terrence Mann. So, that's how I see it.
It's a good potential topic as well. One hit wonder seasons in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's been many of them, haven't they? So,